watch a clock. I don't even have to watch a clock.
Hello. Thank you so much for listening to the Bold Moves podcast. I am the host, Mandie Brice, and this is episode number 89. Today, I'm really excited to share with you the story of Tyron Cutner, who is the owner now of the WellDressed Academy. He is sharing the quintessential story of breaking up and transforming into a new person. I know a lot of girls like to do crazy haircut or hair dye or something of that nature, but Tyron really uses this to his advantage to become a new man, and then was so inspired and empowered by his transformation that he started sharing with other men. So stay tuned and listen to that amazing story of Tyron, and stay tuned to the end because you have the opportunity to win a free one-on-one consultation with Tyron to learn how you can dress better so that you can eventually also live better. All right, without further ado, here is Tyron Cutner. All right. Hello, everyone. I am with Ty Cutner, who has a story that I've been so intrigued by ever since I saw it. We're in a mutual Facebook group, which actually I think is closed now, but he shared his story and I thought, okay, I need to have him on his podcast. So welcome to Bold Moves, Ty.
Well, thank you. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. So I think there's already been enough intrigue about why you're here. Do you want to share your story and how you've ended up where you are, what bold moves you've made?
Sure. So my story starts about 5 years ago. I was at a job that I hated. I was a bus driver and I absolutely hated it.
In New York, right?
In New York, I was working for Greyhound and then Accessoride, which picks up people with disabilities.
Okay.
But it had no social interaction because even no matter how great a conversation you have with a passenger, they leave.
Right.
Your coworkers, they're on their own buses, so you don't make friends, and I'm a very social person. So I hated the job, but I stayed there. I was a new father, so I had a son. He was 2. I was approaching 30. And I wasn't working on any entrepreneurial endeavors. I was just coming home every day playing Xbox. And most of my friends were on my Xbox Live account. And then I found out that my girlfriend was cheating on me.
Oh, man.
So it was very devastating for me.
I can only imagine. And this is the mother of your son, yes?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So it forced me to take a hard look at myself. And when I looked at my life, I just realized I just been sleeping for the past 4 years.
Sure.
I wasn't really engaged in anything. I was just floating through life. So I had to make a change. And the change was, I said, I need to change my image. I need to change how I'm presenting myself. So I started I had clothes in my wardrobe. I used to work on Fifth Avenue. So here in New York, Fifth Avenue is where the designers are. So Louis Vuitton and Prada and Hermes, these stores on Fifth Avenue. I used to work in that industry before becoming a bus driver. And the reason why I became a bus driver, I was in operations.
Okay.
So operations. That didn't lend to what I do now, but that was a job that I had before.
Okay.
So I had, the reason why I mentioned that is because I had those clothes in my wardrobe. So I had designer professional clothes in my wardrobe, which were very high quality.
Sure.
So after I realized my girlfriend was cheating on me, I was like, I need to make a change. I'm approaching 30. This is not how I want to go into my 30s.
Sure.
So I started wearing my professional clothes every day. Even when I didn't have a meeting to go to, I would just wear it to the mall, to the grocery store, everywhere. Mm-hmm. And people started to look at me differently.
Sure.
And when I looked in the mirror, I seen a different person looking at me.
Yeah.
And that person, it was uncomfortable now for me to play Xbox all day. It was uncomfortable for me to work at a job that I didn't like, and put on a uniform that didn't represent who I was. And from there, I just started changing everything else about me. And before long, I ended up being a COO of a nonprofit organization. So within a matter of months, and the CEO was a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And I knew him before this transformation, but he didn't see me as COO quality.
He saw you as an Xbox player.
Just as a friend. He was like a friend of mine. He knew I was
Sure.
smart. He knew I had ideas, but he didn't see me as someone who can help him run the company, who could position me in front of funders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I just wasn't that person at the time.
Sure.
But once I started to improve, he was like, I want to make you the COO. And then from there, I started helping him. He started asking me questions like, how do you get your pants to fit that way? How do you get shirts like that? How do you match those shoes with that? And he really liked how women would respond to me. So
I'm sure he did.
Yeah. So I would walk in a room and women will whisper as soon as they see me. He's like, man, I want to have that power. And so I started teaching him. And then from there, he started to make more money for the organization. Like the second meeting we ended up getting a $90,000 grant.
Wow.
He ended up dating a principal of an elementary school as well. Now, he would have never been able to get that type of woman. She was more sophisticated. She was more affluent. He would have never been able to get her because his behavior just wouldn't have worked.
Sure.
So once I started making him dress better, I also had to tweak his behavior because at first he was like a kid with a loaded gun. He would just people get to know him. They want to know who he is, but then his behavior was just obnoxious. He didn't know how to act. So I had to calm him down. I'm like, bro, now that you're dressing well, you have to be congruent with this behavior because people assume that you're a gentleman.
Yeah.
They assume that you are classy, so you have to act that way as well. And then from him improving his behavior, he was able to change his life. And then his friends and family was like, Ty, you completely changed this guy.
Yeah.
You a big influence on even his mom, you influenced him in a big way. And it was like, you need to do this on a larger scale. So then that's when I started to develop what became my business, the WellDressed Academy, which is where I teach guys the psychological effects of clothing and how to use it to their advantage by teaching them how to dress exceptionally well.
I love that. So what would you say are the psychological effects of clothing?
So one of the things is the way you represent yourself every day is what you see. Mm-hmm. So when you put on athletic wear or active wear, your body gets ready for getting athletic. You start jumping up and down. You feel looser. When you put on pajamas, if you try to work in your house, if you work from home, you put on pajamas, it's kind of hard to get your mind to think professionally because these clothes make you feel comfortable, make you feel even tired. It changes your body. When you put on professional clothes, you start to stand different. You speak different. You think different. So those are some of the psychological effects. But not only that, it affects you, but it also affects how other people see you. So they will see you in a certain way. They'll respond to you in a different way. And then you have to mirror that.
Sure.
That's how we, as humans, we mirror each other to build rapport. So if someone comes to me and they treat me like the boss every single day, I'm going to start acting like the boss. I'm going to start having those answers that they asked for. And then from there, over the course of a month or 2 months, a year, your life just starts becoming different.
That's incredible. So I have a few questions. One is kind of with your friend. Yes. It seems like with that coaching that you provided and that instruction on dressing, it was beyond just the clothing aspect because you said he was still obnoxious and it kind of took him a while to sort of grow into this new, more gentleman, dapper persona that the behavior matched. Does your WellDressed Academy cover that as well? Do you cover manners and, behavior, or is it just okay, you put on the clothes, it's magic, and now you're gonna, start attracting what you want in your life? Right.
Well, it starts with just the clothes because that's what attracts people. People like to see it, oh, this guy looks cool. I want to learn that. But of course, I can't. So I have a thing called a well-dressed code, right?
Okay.
The reason why people react to me in a certain way is because of the way I look. Sure. But if I was to act like a jerk, then in that person's mind, they're going to say, the next person that they see that looks well dressed, they're going to say, yeah, he looks good, but he's probably a jerk like that last guy.
Right.
So I have to keep this code. So just like a Marine who's in a Marine uniform, you can't act like an idiot or a jerk when you're in that uniform because you're representing all the other Marines.
Right.
Right. So the same thing with a well-dressed man. You have to have a code within you in order to uphold the assumptions that people are going to make. So yes, when I speak about the clothes, I do talk about how you have to continue to be a certain type of guy, and you have to be responsible, you have to be respectable, you have to be a man of your word. All these things are ingrained in what a well-dressed man is.
Okay, I like that. Now, you mentioned with your previous experience on Fifth Avenue, even though that didn't factor into really what you're doing today from a knowledge standpoint, I'm sure just the awareness of what there is on Fifth Avenue and seeing the brands. And like, for example, my husband probably doesn't know what Hermes is. How does like the designer quality, the designer name factor in? Do you think it makes a big difference versus, if you don't have the funding or connections to get clothing from designers on Fifth Avenue, can you do the same thing with Target or, secondhand stores or, for someone who's not able to swing that? Do you work your way up, or what's your philosophy on, the obvious cost of those clothes and how that impacts?
Well, I've created my 4 pillars of dressing well.
Okay.
So where that comes in is quality.
Okay.
So I don't teach guys to buy designer clothes because there's a premium price added simply because of the name.
Mm-hmm.
But quality is important. So when it comes to clothes, I think I read somewhere that clothing is the number 2 pollutant that we produce as humans, or you'll be a number 1. So you never want to buy disposable clothes like H&M clothes. That's not really what a man would wear. So I was cheated on. So one of the things that I wanted to do was dress like a man. I wanted to be a man. I wanted to be a father, and that was important for me. So my style is very classic, and I get it. My influences came from movies like The Godfather. And so when it comes to dressing well, you want to buy clothes that's decent quality, meaning it's 100% natural fabrics, wools, cottons, things like that.
Okay.
And you want to make sure that your clothes, and it also matters how long the clothes are going to last based on that.
Sure.
So a guy can start off, I do have a basic line. So a shirt, you can get a decent shirt for about $50, $60.
Mm-hmm.
Then you add a little bit more cost for alterations.
Sure.
Trousers are going to be about $100, maybe, up to $150, and that's your baseline.
Sure.
And you basically just want to start a wardrobe that everything matches in your closet. So you don't need 50 shirts. You could get away with having 5, 6 shirts, 5, 6 trousers. They all match each other. 2 shoes, they all match. 2 jackets, they all match. And now you have a month worth of outfits because your wardrobe is very interchangeable.
Okay, that's really smart. Yeah, I get what you're saying too about the pollutants and about H&M. I believe that is the term fast fashion. Basically, like the McDonald's of clothes startup. So that makes a lot of sense. I'm curious about, so you're talking about the way that even if you're working from home, for example, you will see yourself differently and behave differently based upon what you're wearing. And I don't know if you've seen these memes, probably because this is your area of expertise, although I think these are catered more towards females. But I've seen memes where it says dress like the job you want. So here I am in my bra thong and angel wings, and I'm waiting for my check as a Victoria's Secret angel or different things like that. I usually work from home. I'm a makeup artist primarily, but when I don't have jobs, I'm at home invoicing and, of course, working on my podcast and social media presence. And so it's really easy for me to want to throw on my Lululemon yoga pants that I wear almost every day. Like I have 5 different pair, but, it's generally some variety of workout clothes. And I guess, I don't know, I'm always torn because if I'm thinking of dressing for the job that I want, I kind of like the idea of being able to be comfortable all day. But I do know the same thing where if I decided to work from a coffee shop that day, that people aren't going to look at me the same as if I strolled in a, blazer and fitted pants that aren't stretchy. So what do you think about that? Like, how would you deconstruct that? And what would you, I guess, say to me as an instructor if I were to be, I guess, the only woman in the WellDressed Academy? I'm assuming it seems like it's for gentlemen, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Since the reason why I started WellDressed Academy is from what I went through, and then when I realized how clothes affected people in a certain way. So that's the reason why I work exclusively with men, because I understand what men really want. Like, men value power and influence, and they want to be successful, and they want to be, they just want to be someone who people look up to and admire, and things like that. So for men to dress like a man is almost to dress professional at all times, right? Sure. You don't necessarily need to wear a suit, but you want to wear a collared shirt. You want to look like you're about something. You want to look like you have purpose in life. So when people see you and they see you in workout clothes, they assume you're going to work out, or you just came from working out, right? For
Which
men,
is generally true for me.
Right.
At any given moment, I'm probably about to work out or just got done.
Right.
Within the next 24 hours.
Right. Exactly. So it's one of those things. So if a guy if he's a fitness trainer, I'm not going to tell him to walk around in what I walk around in, because he's a fitness trainer. That's what he does, and he's doing it often. But where he would benefit in the WellDressed Academy is the area of being more polished. So making sure that you're very well groomed, making sure that your activewear fits well. It's the best quality fitness wear you can wear, as opposed to if I go to a gym and I'm looking for a physical trainer, I'm not going to walk up to the guy who's wearing, basketball shorts and oversized shirt from his alma mater. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm going to go to the guy who's wearing the high quality activewear, the one that is well fitted, that's the guy I'm going to go to, because I'm going to assume he must be the guy who's a professional here.
Right. And that's his resume, is his body and what he looks like.
Right.
At least partially. Okay. That makes sense to me. My husband is a physical therapist, and he is often towing the line because he has to move. Like, he wore dress pants to work a few years ago and then split them because he had to demonstrate an exercise to somebody, and the pants just couldn't keep up with him. So he generally wears Lululemon because it can move, but he still likes to look professional. And it's tough, but that makes sense, is that you're going to think of the role that you have and work toward that, like being the most polished version of that person. And that's great.
Exactly.
So this may have come through in what you said, and I don't know if you know the answer to this or not. It's, for most people, something that changes over time, but I'm wondering what your purpose is in life, if you know.
Well, my purpose now, if you ask me that question today, is really to just tell the world that the way we look affects how we perform in life, and we should care about that. And a lot of guys don't really care. A lot of guys think, this is just who I am, right? However they look now is who they are, but they never really stop to think about who they are. They never really stop to think about, is this really who I am? A lot of times what happens is, we start in middle school. This is when we start buying our own clothes, right? And then we basically do what the popular kids are doing, or what's popular at the time. And the same thing in high school, same thing in college. In college, we kind of don't care because we have less money. And then, we just like, whatever, I'm just going to class today, whatever. And then we become adults, and then we don't really learn how to dress, how to look, anything. I've seen presidents who dress bad, press secretaries who are on national TV who are making fundamental menswear mistakes with their clothing. And it affects how people look at them. It reduces their credibility. It's going to reduce their authority. And no one really talks about these things. So my goal is to put that conversation in the forefront, because it will change lives. When you realize how it affects our minds and our subconscious thinking, it is a huge factor.
That's incredible. So as a makeup artist, I obviously have some things in common that, I believe strongly that what's on the outside can impact what's on the inside, and obviously people's perceptions of you. And I know that there have been studies where they've shown that women who wear makeup to take tests perform better on tests. And it's obviously what you're saying, that they feel better about themselves. They feel more confident, more powerful. They perform better. Same with a lot of studies that have shown women who wear makeup will get a higher salary. It's obviously they're not necessarily smarter than the women who aren't wearing makeup, or better workers or anything like that. But again, it's that perception. Have you found any studies that show the impact of being a well-dressed man on salary or performance, or is it just all the anecdotal stories that you have?
Well, yes, definitely. But to bring it to women, right? There was I think it was a documentary or a conversation I seen with a researcher that talked about women in the workplace, and it basically was saying that women are being they're not making as much, not because they aren't as competent as men. They're not making much simply because they're less confident.
Sure.
So they would give 2 tests, one to men, one to women, and they would score equally as well.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as they added, "Are you confident with your answer" on the test, the women's scores went down.
Wow.
So basically, when it comes to confidence is the biggest thing that's holding women back. They ask for less out of college. They think they deserve less, and that's why they are getting less.
Sure.
And for as far as men and how we dress, when a man stands taller and he acts better and he feels like he's attractive, he feels like he's confident, he starts to act it. And when he acts it enough, he becomes it. So yes, there have been studies that show that a man will make, upwards of $200,000 to $300,000 more in his lifetime based on him just dressing better. And it's not directly, it's indirect things that happen. So people are going to invite you places more because they see you dress well. I get invited by people who are much more successful than I am simply because I look good. And then I can just be one-on-one. I can cut through any of the basic introduction because they come with me with a smile. They want to meet me. Yeah. So a person who wants to meet me, I'm already their friend, right? Yeah. I'm already going to be happy to meet them because they already came to me complimenting me or saying, "Hey, I like that. Or I like this." Well, now we're instant friends, so it just lends to me building out a network of people who are successful. I mean, I've gotten jobs. I became CEO. I had no experience as a CEO. I became a men's fashion editor with no editor experience, without presenting a resume, barely interviewed, simply because the editor-in-chief said, "You're the best dressed guy I know."
Yeah. That's a resume for a fashion editor.
Helped me a lot. I mean, yes. So it will definitely lend you advancing in many areas of your career, many areas of your relationships and social life. Even your family will look at you different. They would think you're now the responsible person in the family because you just look responsible and you start acting responsible,
Yeah, I love that. So one thing I'm curious about is if you ever get any pushback from people saying that, you're being focused on just the outside or that everything is superficial. Do you ever get any argument like that, or do people just see your results and trust your process?
I never get that argument in person. So if I meet someone in person, I never get that argument. If I'm at a presentation, I never get that problem.
Sure.
But if I'm online, if I'm on like Facebook, so I get some clients on Facebook and I may put a post up about how, you can size a person up based on how they dress. And then I will get pushback from men saying, "No, this is how I look. I'm rugged and tugged. I wear my jeans and my, I have my beard and I'm scruffy and I'm this." And I say to those guys, like, it's fine. You can be that, but you're missing an opportunity here, right? Yeah. The world around you doesn't, when it looks at you and you have your jeans and your t-shirt, that's the default outfit of America.
Yeah.
It doesn't help you at all. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help you perform better. It doesn't help you think better. It doesn't help you in the society. You don't increase your status. Even if you're making a lot of money as that, it doesn't lend to anything else. It doesn't help you, So for those guys, I don't try to convince them.
Right.
Some guys will say, "Yeah, you're just talking crap." I'll give them the research. There's tons of research on this. It's not, I'm not making this stuff up. There's tons of articles on how first impressions are usually spot on, because as humans, we study humans more than anything else.
Right.
We see each other. We see people all the time. All of our entertainment is people in it. Movies, videos, everything is all about people. So we can kind of know what facial expressions are. We know what body language is. We know who's the professional person in the picture based on how they dress. So we're very acute to these types of things. When we out in the real world, we put that same stuff on people. Right. So one of the things people love doing is people watching. You can tell, "Oh, what do you think she does for a living?" And you're almost spot on, because when we get dressed in the morning and when we buy clothes, we think about, why do I like this?
Right.
Why am I wearing this bracelet? Why am I wearing these shades? this doesn't really go for me because I'm more of a, a California girl. This doesn't, you know what I mean? So what we wear, how we paint ourselves and how we dress ourselves, it connects to a lot of different things.
Right.
So we can make some assumptions based on that alone.
One thing I'm curious about, because you mentioned that, the default outfit of the United States is the jeans and the t-shirt, which I agree with. Do you find that your academy is more applicable to certain regions? Because, for example, I'm in Silicon Valley and it's jeans and t-shirt and a hoodie. Everyone around here wears that. And my husband has noticed the reverse of what you're saying just because that is so much the norm. So what I mean by the reverse of what you're saying is he's gone into a fancy restaurant to pick up a to-go order in a hoodie and jeans, and people assume that he's a venture capitalist or a software engineer because all of the rich people in Silicon Valley wear jeans and a hoodie, because that's like the uniform for a software engineer. So if he was to show up all dressed up, I don't know what people would think. Which I'm not sure how it applies to women, because I think there's a different expectation for women here. But I'm just curious about how that would work. I feel like anywhere else you go except Silicon Valley, you're right, that if you're wearing a collared shirt and it fits right and your pants fit right, you project success. But here it's like a strange, bizarro world. But I'm wondering if you've noticed anything regionally different.
Well, I have noticed when I say something online about that, people do, like Mark Zuckerberg is photos always being thrown at me,
Sure. And he's here.
And yeah, exactly. And my thing to that is, that's the exception. If you put together 100 guys in jeans and t-shirts,
right,
majority of them are going to, maybe 1% of them are going to be successful. Yeah. I mean, because in the world, you really can't get away with that. This is a special places like Silicon Valley, you could probably get away with that. But in the rest of the world, you can't, and that way of dressing is really just a relaxed, I don't care, I don't need to type of attitude anyway. It's like, I don't need to worry about that because I'm already successful, I'm already rich, I can do whatever I want type of thing. But in the real world, it doesn't help you with women. It's not going to help you with other relationships. It's not going to help you with your confidence. It's not going to help you with your posture. It's not going to help you with any of those things. And as soon as you leave that area, now you're just the average guy now,
And I guess you should probably wait until you're at Mark Zuckerberg's status before you decide you don't care.
Exactly. You can't not care your way up to the top,
That's an amazing quote. I love that. I'm going to post that today. You can't not carry your way to the top. It just does not work for anyone.
It doesn't work.
How do you do different things? What makes a shirt fit well? Are you able to, do you do one-on-one consultations with people and kind of ask, or look, do you Skype and, hey, your collar's a mess? Or is it these are the rules to follow, you should be able to look at it yourself and understand what fits right and what doesn't? How does that work?
Right. Well, I do. So my clients, I coach them one-on-one for 3 months. I have a program.
Okay.
And we do video calls similar to this. And most of them, they start off, a lot of them, it depends on who they are. So they may be successful already, but they don't have the look. They may have been recently through a divorce now. It's time that I want to be the man, when it comes to how clothes fit, that is the number one area where guys mess up. And that's the reason why they look bad in their clothes or fit.
Right.
So when it comes to shirts, and the reason why shirts are they close to you and they frame your body, your shoulders, and everything else. Yeah. So the first thing is, I think
we're
are you there?
Frozen. Okay. I can hear you. All right. You were saying the first thing is, that was the last thing I heard.
I think we're back. Okay. So the first thing on a shirt is you want to make sure it fits well in the shoulder. Okay. So shirts, even t-shirts, there's a seam where the shoulder ends and then the sleeve starts, right? It's a different piece where the sleeve starts. A lot of guys, if they're wearing a shirt that's too big, the shoulder seam is down here.
Sure.
Right? That means the shirt is too big. Right. And what happens is you're not creating the silhouette of a man, right? So men, we can see an attractive woman from 2 blocks away based on her shape, right?
Right.
That's the reason why a lot of dresses are formed in a way where the waist comes in and it kind of flares out towards the hips, because that's how we identify, evolutionary is how we identify a healthy woman, a person that we want to mate with, because they can produce a healthy offspring, right? It's very primal.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The same thing with men is strong shoulders is the biggest thing. That's what frames your head, frames your body. So that's the reason why suit jackets have that padding in the shoulder. It makes a very clean line. But when your shirt doesn't fit well, you reduce that. You reduce your strong shoulder. You know, if your suit jacket is too big, you reduce that. And what happens is you almost look like you're wearing someone else's clothes.
I was going to say like a kid in his dad's
your big brother's clothes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna.
And you don't want that if you're a man.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm curious. I don't know what your relationship status has been since you've made all of these changes, but are women ever intimidated by your ability to dress well? Like, I could see being like, oh, he's probably judging how my clothes fit, or do most women kind of understand and know what to do, or are you just attracting a woman who already knows what she's doing anyway?
Yeah, well, it does. The way I dress does weed out certain women. You know, unfortunately or fortunately, I'm not sure. But some women are intimidated and they just wouldn't approach me, or they just, you know, they will be nervous if I approach them. Which it helps me in a sense, because now I can see who's the type of woman I want to be with. We can still have a great conversation. I'm almost like a C-list celebrity. Let's just say it like that. I'm kind of like a C-list celebrity, because even when I walk down the street, I'll get people who will compliment me, who will shake my hand. Strangers, I've had people take my photo. You know, ask me, hey, can I take a photo of you? I'm like, sure. You know, and it's kind of weird, but I've gotten used to it at this point. So yes, people, you know, some people are intimidated, but I'm very open and friendly. I always have a friendly face because I'm just used to people coming up to me and want to talk to me, and I'm ready for a conversation or to give my card or to talk or, you know, anything. So it does help me. It allowed me to increase my social skills because people are just randomly coming up to me. So it helps in that way as well.
Very cool. So you mentioned giving people your card. How, if someone's listening to this and they want to take your course or do your one-on-one program, how do they find you online?
They can find me on my website is WellDressedAcademy.com.
Okay.
They can find me on Facebook. So my full name is Tyron, Tyron, Cutner. And I'm also on Instagram as Ty Cutner. So you can find me there. And they could just simply engage with me. You know, you can message me on Instagram or Facebook. Any guys have any questions about anything, you can contact me through my website. I'm very open. I'm all about giving back. I feel like it is kind of my duty to help guys in this way, because I root for men. Like, I really root for men. I want men to just be better.
Yeah.
When I first started the business, it was really all about refining men and making them better at who they are, and kind of bringing it back to an older age when I feel like men were more responsible. They were much more go-getters. And I think that will help relationships, you know, if men were really stepping up in ways where women can feel more comfortable. You know, they don't have to be, you know how it is. You know, men, sometimes men, they take the back seat. And that's not the role of a man. You know, you want to be strong. You want to be a provider. You want to be decisive. And by dressing like a man, it kind of makes you want to do that. You know, I started learning about cigars and learning about different cognacs, and you know what I mean? Just because you start looking like a man, you know, you want to do these types of things. So that's how people can find me. And I'm very open in any question they have. I welcome them.
That's awesome. So I have a question for you, and I want to know what the scariest thing you've ever done was.
Scariest thing I ever done. Um, I remember jumping off of this pretty high cliff into a body of water without a life jacket.
Okay.
Um, and I actually turn that into an analogy, right? That I tell people when you want to make some type of change in your life,
Yeah.
cannonball. You got to go
Right.
in. Don't dip your toes in because you're gonna. Ooh, it's too cold. And then now you're gonna psychologically think, oh, it's gonna be too hard. You got to go in there and just jump and get completely submerged.
I love that. My next question was going to be, how would you recommend pushing past fear? And so I think you don't have a
Yeah,
choice. You can't change your mind once you've started your cannonball.
right, right. So when I first started dressing well, I literally eliminated all of the other clothes that I had from the past. So I have a client now he wanted to start dressing better because he wants to look cool. And I told him, like, listen, it's not about just looking good.
Yeah.
It's about you becoming a different person. So you're not getting dressed up for the party or the meeting. You're getting dressed because this is who you are. This
Sure.
is the image you have. So when you're on your down days, if it's Sunday, you chilling out, your casual is going to be a nice collared shirt that fits well, some nice trousers, and some either classic sneakers or loafers or something like that. You never want to go below that. Don't ever leave your house the old way because you're going to start thinking like the old way. People are going
Sure.
to see you and it's the old way. So you want to go forward and don't look back.
So dress like you might run into your ex.
You never know who you're going to run into when you're out here. I've ran into. I live in New York City. Is millions of people here, and I bump into people that I know all the time,
Yeah,
multiple times a day at times. So you never know who you're going to bump into, and you never know who's watching you.
absolutely. I love that. What other advice do you have? Just life advice, clothing advice in general for anyone who's listening. What would you like to impart on people?
Always work on something in your life. So always be working towards something. Always be trying to improve something about yourself. Never just float,
Okay.
because if you're floating, kind of going backwards because time is moving, and if you're not, you're being left. So I'm obsessed with personal development. Me dressing well was a part of my personal development. I was like, I think I made a manifesto, and I was like, what are the areas in life that I want to work on? And I was one of them. My
Yeah,
social skills was another one. The people I hang around, how I manage my finances was another one. So when I started to dress better, all those other things came in place, and I realized I can do it. When I change my image, I can do anything now. I can change how I think. I
yeah,
can change my moods, and I'm just obsessed with personal development, and I seek it out, and I see people who are also obsessed with that, and those
sure.
became my friends. And now we have a conversation. They can, hey, here's a good book for you, or you got to go to this program or learn about this.
Yeah,
So that's what I would say. So, and also surround yourself with people who are also just focus on developing themselves.
sure. What are you working on right now?
So right now, where I'm recording this is a center that I go to for, basically, to explain it, it's a center that helps me enhance human potential
Okay.
by stripping away all of the limitations we learn as kids.
Okay.
So things and I started going to this program to help me with my business, because I felt like I had all of the resources, the tools, the knowledge,
Yeah.
but I just couldn't execute on certain things. I couldn't push through, and it was my own limitations.
Right.
So I go to this program. It's called what we call it ESP, or Executive Success Program,
Okay.
which is where I learned things about how my own thought patterns
Okay.
were stopping me from things. So, for instance, I may do something, right? I may put out a post, or do a speaking engagement, and then suffer over it because I didn't get the results that I wanted. So I
Sure.
would spend hours beating myself up over, oh man, it didn't work. I didn't get what I expected and all that.
Yeah.
And now I just do the work.
Sure.
Just do the work. Don't worry. Don't have the expectation, because that expectation isn't based on anything anyway.
Right. You
Right?
can't
Just
control what other people react to what you do. Just
Right.
the
All you can
process.
do is do what you can do. And as long as you do it with enthusiasm and joy, and you're grateful for what you do have, you
Mhm.
continue to do things, and those things will come. And they've been coming for me. So it's been really working very well for me.
I love that. So one thing that you mentioned is that you have all the tools, and you talked about in your personal development journey that, you seek out books. What books do you recommend to anyone? Like, what are your favorite books in general?
So the three books that I got, and this is from a good friend of mine who we both were starting our businesses around the same time. He does relationship coaching.
Sure.
And we have very similar stories. Our stories came out of challenge with who we were with, the women we were with. And he recommended three books to me. So, and it's really for relationships, but it also helped me better understand myself as a man. So the first one was the 5 Love Languages, which is
Okay.
good for
I
both men and
actually
women and
have that
relationships.
within reach, almost within reach. But I agree.
Yes.
It's a great one.
Yes. A great book. Hold On to Your Nuts.
Not heard of that one.
So NUTS is an acronym for non-unalterable terms. So it's really a book for men to have their core beliefs and not bend them for anyone. Because if they bend them, they resent themselves and they resent the person who made them bend them, right? Which is usually their
Okay.
wife, right? And
Sure.
you don't want to resent her for something that you allow her to do that, right? So
Sure.
you don't want to resent her for that. And then The Way of the Superior Man. And The Way of the Superior Man is a very elusive book because it's very new agey. It
Okay.
talks about meditate. It got me into meditation. So I've been meditating for a year now, daily, every morning because of it. But it really is very deep, and it talks about breathing. It talks about understanding feminine energy and masculine energy, and how you can read women, how you can read yourself, and
Sure.
how you can just be and not really have expectation and not really have anger and not have these emotions that aren't necessary.
Okay.
And it's just it's a very elusive book. It's a book that you have to like meditate to and all these things, but it's grounded me in a way where now I can look within myself and just see how I can perform better.
I love that. And I think everyone who's not floating, as you described it, could use some tips on performing better. So that is awesome. I love it. All right. My last question for you, unless there's follow-up questions on what you say, is my favorite question to ask anyone. Even before I started my podcast, it was a question that I frequently asked people. And that is, if 8-year-old Tyron could look in a crystal ball and see where you are today and everything you've gone through and what's ahead for you a little bit, because obviously you have a general idea of kind of where you're headed. On a scale of 1 to 11, how excited would little Tyron be to see where you are now?
Well, an 8-year-old Tyron had a big head. And if he looked in a crystal ball, he might get a bigger head.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yes. As I was, and I have an 8-year-old son. It's funny you say 8. My son is 8, and he is so much like me.
Yeah.
So much like me that it is amazing. Like, and he parents me sometimes. Like the other night, we were together, and we got in late, and I made dinner for him, and he said to me, I was like, all right, Papa, you gotta go to bed soon. He's like, you go to bed too, because you be staying up too late. You need to go sleep so you can wake up early and get to work. And I was like, and this is something that I've been working on, getting better sleep. And I don't know if I told him that, but he does this to me often. And when he says things like that, all I can say is, you're right.
All right, we'll both go to bed.
We'll go to bed.
That's awesome. Well, I always think that that's kind of a barometer of being on the right track, as if, it may be something completely different. I don't know what you wanted to be when you grew up back then, but if you think you would have been excited, I think that's a good sign that you're doing things well. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for your time and everything that you shared. I mean, I know that you focus on this for men, but even I personally am like thinking about what things in my closet and dresser have to go, and I'm inspired to up level in my, wardrobe game. So thank you for sharing that and for, the inspiration for others. And I hope people contact you and do the same and learn how to dress like a gentleman.
But thank you for having me, and I really enjoyed this. Thank you.
I can assure you I definitely was not lying when I said that during the interview, a little bit here and there, I was thinking about what items in my closet and dresser have to go. And I encourage you to think of that too, because from what he says and from research and other anecdotal evidence I've heard, it really does make a difference to dress like the person that you want to be. So I'm personally holding myself accountable to that, as well as, you know, maybe if you see me on social media and I'm looking a little sloppy, you can call me out on it. Anyway, if you're hearing this and thinking, well, I don't know what exactly that means, and you're a gentleman and you don't know how to dress like a gentleman, if you head over to www.mandiem.com/episode and then 89 for episode 89, you can enter to win the opportunity to have a one-on-one video consultation with Tyron. So I highly recommend that. If you are not the lucky winner, if you head over to www.welldressedacademy.com, and that link will also be in the show notes, you can check out his 4-part video series that explains how to dress. So you can start looking at what to eliminate and what you might need to add to your wardrobe to make it the professional, strong, powerful, gentlemanly look that you're looking for. All right, I am so excited to have Friday's challenge from Tyron, so make sure you're subscribed so you can check that out. If you know of somebody who could use some potential empowering through style, please send this episode out. It really helps. The more people who listen, the more it helps my mission of empowering as many people possible to go after their dreams. And in this case, it's potentially through fashion, which I think is really fun. Anyway, so yes, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share this out. If you're interested in being a guest, head to www.mandiem.com/guest so you can fill out that form and let me know you're interested in being on the show, and I could potentially schedule something. We have a lot of really amazing and exciting guests coming up, so I'm super pumped to share them with you. But in the meantime, be bold and have a sparkly day. Bye-bye.